What's up, Sassy? It's your girl Sassy J, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back, guys. So it's time for another Love Island review. But before I get into the video, you know the do's. Please give the video a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, welcome and please subscribe. So, guys, we saw the ending or part 2 of Meeting the Family tonight, and I am so happy that Helena got to see her parents. I'm not gonna lie, it literally warmed my heart just to watch it because she needed that hug, but she also needed that little bit of a cry to her mom and her dad. You know what I'm saying? And I just know how much that's going to make such a difference to the rest of her week, and it's going to make her experience a lot better. She's already said it, I feel so much better. I feel more positive. And that's how much of a difference, I'm saying, like seeing the people that you love and care about can make in your life, especially at that particular moment, because this is when she needed them the most. So I was really, really happy about that. I'm not gonna lie, I was excited. And you know what? At the end of the day, this is all a learning experience for everyone. And we hear her telling her family saying that, she's learned a lot about herself. Because usually in the beginning, when her and Harry had like problems and stuff, she'd say, I'm done, and she wouldn't talk about her feelings. But now she found herself trying to speak more about how she truly feels and standing up for herself. And she said, like, you know what, the last few days is when she felt more like herself, when she felt like she regained that backbone and defending herself. And I think that is quite important because, when you are in the villa, I'm guessing, because I've never been in the villa, right? But I'm guessing when you're in such an enclosed environment, it does change how you react to things quite a lot, and it does change your personality slightly as well. So I do think that it's kind of good where she feels like she's getting back to herself. And we did see where Harry went to apologize to her mom and her dad, and I think it's a good thing. I think he needed to apologize for what he did, but you know what, it just makes you realize that Eleanor's forgiving personality and her kind of laughing personality comes from her parents. They're very light-hearted, they're quite laid back, and I think that's where she got that from. And they're quite forgiving because as much as another person would have probably been really angry and probably display a lot of anger towards Harry, they didn't. Do you see what I'm saying? They didn't. The dad just said, listen, it is what it is. Obviously, he made a comment about what his customer said to him about Harry wearing his DICK on his sleeve. And to be honest, are they wrong though? No, they're not. So at the end of the day, they were very kind of like, very forgiving of Harry and what happened, and they didn't batter him for it. And I think that's what we've seen with Helena, how forgiving she's been over Harry's actions. And I think it's just probably just how she is and how her family is and stuff like that. But yeah, so Blue's mom basically called Harry the lovable villain. And Blue was saying, even that Blue's mom was saying, like, it's just funny how Harry gets away with things. And I'm not gonna lie, Harry gets away with murder. Harry gets away with everything. And do you know what I've realized as well? Viewers tend to be a lot more like forgiving of Harry's actions, especially because he's with Shakira. I've realized, because when he was with Helena, Harry got a lot of bashing. I do realize that. But now, I look in the chats, especially when I'm on the Love Island site, and people are like, well, you know what? I prefer Harry and Shakira. And you know what? At the end of the day, Harry, we see the better side with Harry with Shakira. And yes, you see a different side with Harry and Shakira. You do. But I think there's so much more forgiving. And it's like Harry is, all the stuff that he's done is just like, it's like they're overlooking it. It's like it's like they're over it, which is funny because I'm going to say this and y'all can say what you want to say. Dee's actions with being flirty and all that kind of stuff that he's done in the villa, and I know he acted well with those things, but he wasn't in a couple and he wasn't exclusive. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't in a relationship and he wasn't exclusive, and he kept saying I was open. But people until today, they're not forgiving of Dee exploring, even though there's really nothing to forgive, because if you are not in a relationship with somebody and if you are not exclusive with somebody and both of you have agreed to be open, then you can go and do whatever you want. But even now, people are not forgiving of Dee and they're holding on to Dee as kind of like that bad person. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's getting a lot of hate. A lot of hate. Don't get me wrong. I think that some of the actions that some of the things that D did was a bit annoying to me, and it was frustrating. But the one thing I could always appreciate was that they said they were open, and he was not in a couple. He was not in a relationship or anything like that. Harry was exclusive. He was exclusive with Helena. But because now he's with Shakira, a lot of people just like, well, he's done the right thing now. Oh, we forgive him for it now. And I'm just like, it's like this guy is getting away with murder. Nobody's holding him accountable for what he's done. Nobody. And it's just crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me. Do you see what I'm saying? But anyways, obviously Blue and Helena, they're just a friendship thing. I don't see anything coming with them, like, you know what I'm saying? Because at the moment, I don't think Helena, his heart is ready for it. We hear what she said, that, listen, guys, I'm in a better place today. I don't ever want to get back with Harry in that way, but I still do love him. And obviously, I don't want to lose a friendship because we're close. Her, Meg, and Dijon and Harry's close. And to be honest with you, right? They used to be, but now when Harry's friend made that comment to him about Dijon not being there for him, or his friends not being there for him, I felt like that is not fair. I felt that's not fair, and I feel once again it's jumping over because you're changing ships. So it's like you have to choose to jump ship as well, and I feel like that's what Harry's friend did, right? Because I'm sure that he would have thought otherwise if the situation hadn't changed. Now, personally, Helena and Dijon are best friends in there, right? And him and Harry are really good friends in there too, right? What Harry did was quite messed up. It was quite messed up. And Dijon was trying to comfort Helena. He and Meg, though, you could say what you want to say, but Dijon and Meg actually went to check on Harry. Do you know what I'm saying? And even after that again, Dijon went back and was talking to him and asking him how he was feeling. And when he said that he felt like he was losing them as well, Dijon said, listen, I don't care what happens, you'll never lose me. I think Harry should really look into himself and the friendship that he's had with Dijon to know that, listen, we are only seeing a couple clips of things out here. He should know better within himself because he said it that they've been there for him. So why are you now second guessing it? And I feel like it's only normal in a sense where because now he's with Shakira, he's going to gravitate, and the friendship between him, I think naturally, him and Dijon and Meg, I think that's going to be a change where he's more gravitating towards Yasmin and Jamie and Tony and Cash, which is probably why when he said that, you know, who he trusted more in the villa, and he said like Tony and Cash, because he said like Tony had his back. Do you know what I'm saying? And Tony's been there for him and he trusts. And I was just like, I know Dijon must have felt some type of way about that because at the end of the day, he's been there. Yes, he chose Blue and Helena, but it's not exactly Blue that he's chosen. He's chosen Helena because obviously Helena is one of his best friends. Do you see what I'm saying? So it was either going to be Helena or it was going to be Harry. Do you know what I'm saying? But I feel like Harry making that decision, you know, it was more based off the fact that he's now with Shakira. So now he's gravitating towards Shakira's friends more because realistically, from a viewer looking in, right? Tony did, when everything was going down, she did say to him, listen, we don't hate you, right? We don't hate you, right? So at the end of the day, I get that she, in that moment, just that sentence, because he said, well, you know, it doesn't feel like it. I think that statement that she made, or that comment that she made, was almost kind of like a thing to say, listen, you know, everyone's upset because you messed up, but, you know, we don't hate you. You know what I mean? We're still here kind of situation. But to say that Dijon and Meg did not support him, I felt like that's not right. And not only that, with the whole conversation of Dijon pushing Helena and Harry to be together, I mean, come on, let's be realistic. If I have my two best friends, right? I have my two best friends and they're exploring a connection and there's somebody out there that wants to explore something with my best friend, who do you think I'm going to be more supportive of? My best friends. Do you see what I'm saying? That is natural. But at the same time, Dijon has always said to him, who do you want to be with? Who do you want to choose? Just choose the person you want to stick with. But he's also said, like, listen, I just think that you are great with Helena because you can be yourself around Helena. You can laugh and you can just be your normal self, and you're not uptight. You're not like, stressed. You're not on edge when you're with Helena. And Harry said the same thing. He said the same thing because he was the one that told Dijon that I feel like I'm walking on eggshells around Shakira. That's what he said. He said, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells with Shakira, right? And I can't be myself. And it's really having an effect on me. That's what he said. So at the end of the day, if you're telling me as your best friend that that's how one person makes you feel, and at the same time, I see you feeling happy and you're able to be yourself with another person, I'm going to be supportive of that, regardless of whether that person is my best friend or not. But especially if that person is one of my best friends, damn right, I'm going to be supportive of it. So I feel like, and even them making this whole thing about, like they're trying to push the narrative that the reason why Harry chose to be with Helena is because that he was influenced. Harry is a grown friggin' ass man. He's 30 years old and he walks around and say, well, I do what I want to do. I do what I want to do. When he does stuff and he hurts the girls in there, well, I do what I want to do. So why is it now that we're trying to hold other people accountable for his actions that we've heard him say time and time that I do what I want to do? Do you know what I'm saying? I just feel like they're just letting Harry slide. And it's not them alone that's in there that's doing it. A lot of people on the outside, the viewers, they're doing it as well. We're letting it slide. And I just really don't get it. At the end of the day, why are we rewarding these kind of behaviors? Why? Why are we rewarding this? And I wouldn't be surprised if actually Harry and Shakira wins or comes second. Because at the end of the day, and do you know what the funny thing about that is? Had that been a different situation, right? Had that been on the flip side, right? And it was with Shakira all along and flipped to Helena. Do you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't like Helena, right? So they have this view of her like, we don't like her because she did this Shakira. She didn't do shit to Shakira. Realistically, she didn't. If you really look at it, they're there to explore. They're not exclusive. Do you know what I'm saying? They were in a couple, but everybody has to be in a couple. Do you see what I'm saying? They were not exclusive. They weren't. And the only other time that Helena has been the person to push the hideaway situation was towards the end when she said, you know what, when Meg was trying to influence it and they called over Harry and she was like, I feel like I want to be cheeky and bring Harry to the thingy, to the hideaway. And yes, they were coupled up at the same time, but she owes no loyalty to Shakira. You know who owed the loyalty to Shakira at that point? Harry. And you know what? He did well by saying he wasn't going to go there. He did well. But then further on in the conversation, we hear him saying a lot of stuff to Helena about what he wants to do with her and what he doesn't want to do. Do you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, and told her, that was the same night he told her, just give me till tomorrow, give me a few days or whatever, because I wanted to be with you. So at the end of the day, can we stop putting the blame only on one person? Because all I'm seeing online is where Helena's getting all the blame and Helena's getting, oh, she deserves it, she deserves that. But yet still, Harry doesn't deserve anything. It's okay for Harry. Everything is okay for Harry. Do you see what I'm saying? But it's not okay with Helena. I'm just so sick of it. I'm not gonna lie to you. But anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about the couple goal challenge or the couple goal game, right? I feel like people weren't making their decisions, some people, not everybody, because of what they truly believe to be true. It's more kind of like who I get on with or who I didn't get on with. Do you know what I'm saying? And I also think there was a few people copping out and giving answers, including Megan and Connor, because I saw them erasing. So they've obviously had somebody else written on their board, but because everybody else was saying Meg and Dijon, and I don't remember which one it was, but I think I could I think it says the person, I think it was the one that says the couple that cares more about what people think about them. So, and even Meg noticed it when Megan wiped the board clean and changed her answer. And I just feel like at the end of the day, yes, you can suddenly change your answer, but I feel like originally maybe Meg and Dijon was what she wanted to put, but she didn't want to do it because they're friends, so she put something else. But because everybody else was doing it, she felt like more comfortable to do it. Or is this just kind of like a game plan where she just wanted to cop out of, instead of actually saying the person that she actually wanted to say, just jump on the bandwagon of saying Megan D because other people were saying it, and then she can use the excuse. Do you know what I'm saying? But anyways, I do feel like there was a few people copping out on their answer. But let me just have a read of this. I don't even know if I'm going to understand my own handwriting, to be honest. But I've written down just a couple notes of them. So the first one was the couples that is most likely to last on the outsides. And I think a lot of people, I think some people say Connor and Megan because of how they are and stuff like that. Obviously, I think a couple of people said Megan D. But Harry, I think, right? I think that Dejan was expecting Harry to say them. And I feel like I think he can start to feel the vibes from Harry. And I feel like we might see him mention this tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like he was expecting it. He was expecting, because obviously they were there from the start. They've been coupled up from the start. And they've been consistent together. You know what I mean? And they're the only couple that's boyfriends and girlfriends. So I think he was kind of hoping that he was thinking, as Harry being one of his friends, that was going to say him, right? But there was a few people that did say him. I think Megan said him, and I think Angel and Ty said Megan and Dee. But I do think that Dejan was expecting Harry to do it. I think he was hoping most people would, because of the same reason, the fact that he's coupled up with her now. Do you know what I'm saying? But anyways, okay, so the other one is the couple that you would not want to go on a city break with. A lot of people said Blue and Helena, purely because they said that they would either have to look after them, or some people said that Helena would probably be with the DJs, whatever. And I think it was all playful answer. Blue, however, chose Harry and Shakira. And I think, you know what? They said it's for obvious reasons. And it's quite obvious reasons. Like, why would you want them to go on a city break with you? I mean, that if I was Blue and Helena, that would have been my answer, because of the situation that just happened, whatever. But also, Blue did add and say, listen, you know, Harry likes the wife swap. Well, Harry did not like that. Harry did not like that, right? And because he didn't like it, he was like, oh, well, do better, da, da, da. But realistically, is Blue wrong, though? He's Blue wrong, because at the end of the day, it is a wife swap situation. It is a wife swap situation, because now he's in a couple with Helena, and he's in a couple with Shakira. Do you know what I'm saying? And yes, him and Shakira might not have been like a proper couple, but at the start of things, he did like Shakira, and they did have a kiss or whatever. But I just think, you know, I understand from Harry's point of view, he's probably thinking the bashing or whatever. But at the same time, it's not a lie. You know what I'm saying? It's not a lie. It's not a lie. But anyways, the couple you trust the most. I think this as well. And I feel like just by how Harry answered this question, it just, for me, it shows, I think Dee's going to pick up on this, some kind of like a thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Or other people, because I would have, right? But also, for me, I feel like it's just another demonstration of how, you know, now that he's with Shakira, how his loyalty is almost shifting a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because you see where he's more gravitating towards, because his answer was Cash and Tony. And even though Cash is a good guy and a lovable guy and whatever, I think the most of the reason that he gave was because of Tony, because he said Tony was there for him and all that kind of stuff. And when he was down, she was there, and if he needs to talk, she's there and whatever. And I just, again, like I said, I feel like, okay, he might not feel like he can trust Dejan right now because of what his friend said to him. So obviously that's going to be that, because he can't see what we're watching. So he doesn't know why the friend based it off of it fully. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't know what the friend saw. Do you know what I'm saying? But even then, I feel like, you know, going off what the friend said, I feel like he should have really looked at what he's seen for himself. Do you see what I'm saying? But I feel like you could see on Dejan's face when he said that, it's almost like there was a flash of disappointment, like he was expecting it. But then again, Dejan did choose Helena. And like I said before, you know, of course he's going to choose Helena. It's either going to be Helena or it's going to be Harry. It's going to be one of them. Do you know what I'm saying? But I think knowing that, you know, we've heard Tony, even at the grafties, Tony and Shakira spoke about Harry and Dejan, to now know that Harry has chosen Tony and Cash, I think for Dijon it's kind of like, you know, maybe a little bit of a slap in the face, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, isn't it? They'll have to choose who they want to choose, and more than likely, you will see a shift in Harry turning towards the other side. Do you know what I mean? The other side of the friends groups, and not the one that he's normally in. Anyways, the next one is the couple that cares more about how they're perceived. I think, I don't remember who said Connor and Meghan. I think they said that because they said based on the fact that Meghan has been outside, she comes back and stuff like that, she kind of knows what people are thinking, etc. But I guess I get that point. But, you know what I'm saying? I get that point because obviously when Meghan was there before, she did act a bit wild, didn't she? And she didn't really, the way she did the whole Tommy situation, I feel like her being out there and know how people thought about it, it could really influence how she behaved. Do you see what I'm saying? However, I feel like you don't really see, like, I don't feel like I get like a fake vibes in how she behaves, Meghan, since she's been in there. I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm not a fan of Meghan, but I don't feel like I've seen that kind of fake vibe. You know what I'm saying? But most of it was basically Dijon and Meg, and some of it was based on the fact that, like, Tony one was based on the fact that she felt like he was moving too quickly. He made a quick decision to be exclusive, then boyfriend and girlfriend, then to say that I love you. Here's the thing about that. If you've watched Love Island, then you know it's coming. Do you know what I'm saying? It's one of the things that's been consistent in Love Island, right? This is probably the only season where we don't have the norm. We don't have, because what Dijon has done in this season is the norm, right? They always become exclusive by a certain time. By the time we get down to the last week, that's when you ask people to be, if you're not exclusive, you become exclusive. If you're exclusive, then you become in a relationship. If you've never said the word I love you, that's when it comes out. Do you see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I feel like for me, you know, it's hard to say that it's and not only that, you can't tell people how to feel. Do you see what I'm saying? I just don't think it's a fair thing. And I think that comes from the fact that they just don't like each other like that. Do you see what I'm saying? Because had that been somebody that you liked, it would have been completely different. Do you see what I'm saying? But I think, yeah. And at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, I can see where Tony's coming from, especially because obviously with Dijon, because what his mom said about him showing his emotions a bit more, and what Meghan's sister said about the fact that she felt like he was flirting. She felt like he didn't, do you know what I'm saying? He wasn't like full on for Meg, and the way that he handled certain situations, flirting and whatever. I can see where they might look at it and say, do you know what, he's playing a game. And do you know what, he might well be playing a game. But at the end of the day, and I think especially because then he went and said, I love you. But we have to remember that he's been saying it for a few days now, saying, you know what, I feel like I'm getting there. I'm not there, but I'm getting there. And then we heard him say it again to the guys, like he's feeling something, like, guys, like I feel it, but I just don't know how to say it. I don't think I'm ready to say it. So at the end of the day, I feel like it's not like an overnight decision where he's just said, boom. I think if we're watching it and we actually pay attention to it, we'll see where he's hinted a few times. And I do agree that his speech sometimes, it can just seem like it's not genuine. But I will say their moment on the terrace tonight, I thought that was the most sweetest thing. And I think for me, I felt like for the first time listening to Dijon, I felt like, you know what, he was speaking from his heart. And you can see it in his eyes. He was more kind of engaged in the conversation when, you know, compared to in the past when he would say things and he's looking away and it's almost like, I feel like he's forced or he's given a script to read. I felt like tonight when he was saying what he felt towards her, it felt more like it was coming from the heart and not scripted. Just what I'm saying. And I felt like the moment was beautiful for them. So I'm not going to try and ruin it by saying that I feel like it's part of a game plan, because it could well be part of a game plan. But at the same time, it could also be something that's genuine. Just what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, it's a game. It's a game show, as somebody said in the comment. It's a game show, and you know, anything can happen. Because remember what Love Island was originally. Love Island was about you forming a connection, and at the end you choose whether or not to split the money. So therefore, you know, back in the days, it could be implied that people could fake a relationship, and when they win together, they could have decided to leave that person with zero and take a whole 50. I know they don't do it like that recently anymore. I don't know why, but you know, one could argue that it's a game show. We need to remind ourselves, I guess, that it's a game show. But I just feel like because there's so many relationships, serious relationships and marriages came out of Love Island, you know, our views and perception has changed a little bit towards that. But anyways, what I will say is, like, I feel like that I understand as much as I understand from Tony's point of view. At the same time, I get what she's saying, but at the same time, I just don't feel like it's the most fair thing to say. Do you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if he was with her and when he wasn't making it exclusive, they all had to go and say to him, like, he's not making it exclusive, he's not taking the relationship to the next stage, and now he is taking it to the next stage, and now they're saying that he's moving too fast and he's being fake. So at the end of the day, I feel like whatever Dijon do, he would not win. Do you know what I'm saying? So we just have to take it like that. A lot of the other comments were saying that obviously, you know, because he, you know, he heard what Meg's sister had to say and her mom and his mom, and obviously, you know, they feel like he's more concerned about how they think and what they perceive. And he agreed. He said, listen, like, obviously I don't generally care about what people think about me, but when it's coming from people that I love and care about, then obviously I'm going to care, which is natural. It's natural to feel like that, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I might not give a damn about what anybody else say about me on here, but if I have somebody that I value their opinion and I am really close to them, then I might be concerned about how they saw me and how whether they think I represented myself appropriately, etc. So I completely understand that at the same time. So the next one is the most fake. The most fake, and Harry chose Helena and Blue, right? And I feel like that was a cop out. That was a cop out. Reason why I feel like that is because, well, it's either a cop out or it's a clap back, right? And I say a cop out in the sense where it's easy for him to go for them because they're not actually in a relationship. They're like a friendship couple. But that, you can't call somebody most fake if they're in a friendship couple, right? However, Harry is saying that obviously the comment that was made about not going on the city break because he wife swaps or whatever, and that's why I say it could just be a clapback, a tit for tat. But at the end of the day, I think, do you know what I'm saying? Like, realistically, that wasn't a fake comment. That was actually truth. So if that's what you're basing it on, that's not actually a fake comment. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that was just a retaliation from Harry because of what Blue had said. And obviously because Blue had called him out a little bit when they were recoupling, and then he's called him out again when he mentioned the whole thing with the what's it called? With the wife swap, whatever. And I feel like Harry did not like that, did not appreciate that. So I feel like it's either he's clapping back, doing a tit for tat, or he's looking at them as the easiest option and cupping out of actually putting who he really wants to put. Because I feel like low-key, Shakira would have put Dijon and Meg, and I feel like Harry was trying to go for that, so he didn't put Dijon and Meg, and maybe low-key he wanted to. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking anyways. So, however, a few other people did put Blue and Helena. Not that they're saying that Helena is fake. I think Connor said, like, listen, not Helena. Helena's not fake. But however, you know, Blue literally jumped onto coupling up with Helena right after the whole breakup with Harry or whatever. And then I think Ty and Angel, Angel said, listen, you were into me and Yasmin. There was no mention of you being interested in Helena when you came in. And you know what? I get that. And I think, yes, he did not mention Helena when he came in. She's right. And I can understand from their point of view. And I can understand where he just hopped on to the single girl train once Helena became available. But also, we got to look at it from a different point of view as well. Because you remember, Blue did like Helena, right? But when he came back in the villa, Helena was exclusive. So you're not going to put your interest in somebody that's exclusive, especially when he's been watching and know how much Helena loves Harry. You're not going to go and waste your time. So at the end of the day, I feel like even if, you know, because we don't know how people feel, but I feel like in that situation, even if I was Blue and I knew that the person that I liked one of the people that I liked was coupled up and exclusive, and I know how much they like the person they coupled up with. I know that I got no chance there, so I'm gonna focus my energy on where I feel like I might have some potential like prospects. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, you know, I get what they're saying, but Blue could argue that at the same time. You know what I'm saying? He could. And plus, who else is he there to couple up with? Who else is he there to try and try to make things work with? Because he tried it with Yasmin and Angel, and they both said, you know what, friend vibes. The only other single person there is Helena. So what do you guys expect him to do at the end of the day? Do you know what I'm saying? Before I forget, there's a comment I wanted to make about when they said people, how you're perceived. I think Meg and Dijon chose Tony and Cash. I think Ty and Angel actually chose them as well, based mostly off the fact that Tony was really upset about the fact that she felt like Cash brother and sister did not like her, because obviously we even see her crying, saying that, you know, she asked them, and I knew this was going to be a problem when she asked them if there was anything that they wanted to know about her, and they said no. Now, I don't think she should take that in a negative way. I think, you know what, me as a person, right, like, and I don't know if this is a black people thing. I really don't know, but I be liking to mind my own business. And for me, when people ask me stuff like, oh, do you have any questions? If I've asked one question already or two questions, and you ask me at the time, do you have any questions? My answer is going to be no. Why? Because if I had questions, I would have asked the questions, and I probably asked questions. You know, when people in general, like even in my meetings, when I go into my meetings and stuff, and I ask, like, I'm talking to like other managers and stuff like that, and I've asked certain questions along the way, because we're communicating in that meeting, we're exchanging ideas and whatever we're doing, and they get to the end and they're like, oh, you know, any questions? I don't have any questions, because I asked all my questions when I needed to ask my questions. You know, anything that was on my mind, I've mentioned it, so I wouldn't then go on and do it. So, you know, her asking them in that moment, I feel like it would have been also like harder for them to actually go into proper details into things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like put me on the spot to ask me. I might not want to ask you anything in that moment, but maybe later on the outside, you might see me asking certain things. So I feel like she shouldn't take that personally, but I understand from her point of view, because obviously what she did to Cash, they did voice their opinion on that. And I like how Cash reassured her, because realistically, it's not that they hate her. It's the fact that they hate what they had to watch. You see what I'm saying? And how their brother was hurt. Their bigger brother was hurt, and it was by her actions. So at the end of the day, you know, obviously they're gonna feel some type of way about it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they hate her. Do you see what I'm saying? But like Yasmin said, listen, it's first impression. You got to give them time to get over it, to get past it. And I did like how Cash reassured her. So realistically, I feel like the people that actually put her name down, they had a good point, because she does care, you know, about how Cash's family see her, because this is somebody that you want to be with. It's somebody you're in a couple with. So you do care how his family and friends sees you. Do you know what I'm saying? Or whether or not they accept you. So I feel like that was a fair thing. However, I think there was a little bit when Blue had mentioned, because she had given her reason for Dijon and Meg, right? And she was being very feisty with it and saying, like, you know what? It's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. Would you want me to lie? Do you want me to lie? And that Dijon was like, no, it's okay. We just wanted to know your reasoning. When the shoe was on the other foot, right? And I think Blue was giving his answer, you know, she didn't like it. And Blue was like, well, I'm just giving you my reasons, the same way you just did your reasons. And, you know, within that moment, I feel like she had to be humbled and say, well, yeah, I know. You know what I'm saying? I see that. Because at the end of the day, you can't give it and not wanting to receive it. Just, you know what I'm saying? Because she gave her reason for Meg and Dijon. And now Blue was giving his reason for her and Cash. So at the end of the day, if she was very full on with it, she needs to be understanding of the fact that people are going to have their opinion, and they're going to also voice their reasons as well. So, you know what I mean? They just need to get over it. I think that's it, you know. I really think that's it. I don't think I have much to say about anything else to say about tonight's episode, realistically. Apart from the fact that I just really don't like how Harry's getting away with this scot-free. I really don't like it. I don't like it at all. And listen, for me as well, I don't know if I'm just disappointed, and I know don't come for me for this, right? I don't know if it's because I had higher expectations of Shakira. I don't know if that's what it is. Maybe I expected so much more from her, and maybe it's not fair for me to expect so much more from her. I think I just felt like she was more level-headed, and I don't know, but so I don't know if this is a fair thing to say, but I think maybe I just expected a lot more from her. So I wanted her to put up some resistance with Harry. I did. And I know we don't have a long time for her to like let him gravel all the way because they only have a week. But you could still, even if it had to do a couple of days where, yes, we're still getting to know each other. Yes, I'm there, we're talking, whatever. But at the same time, I need you to do something. And I just don't feel like he's done anything. I feel like even when we went back to, what's that girl's, the series with, what's that guy name? I can't remember the name. When he messed up in Castle and he came back and he did the whole poem and whatever, and he went over and he put himself out there in a vulnerable place. I just feel like I needed Harry to do something. Do you know what I'm saying? I needed him to do something. I just felt like, I don't know. But anyways, I just don't like how he's just getting away with everything. Scot-Free. Getting away with everything. Do you know what I'm saying? No care in the world. Everybody's getting the blame except for Harry. It's just crazy to me. It's crazy. But anyways, guys, if you got to this part in the video and you haven't yet thumbs up the video, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please like and subscribe. And I'll see y'all in tomorrow's review. But for now, keep it sassy, licious.